Hello and welcome to the Bones Horror Podcast. This is episode 104, Ginger Snaps. I'm really excited to speak about this one tonight. Larry's recommendation. So we've got you in with us.
Hello.
And Larry.
Hello.
And Jess when I go boom.
Hello.
There she is.
There she is.
Hi.
Oh dear. So it's been 2 months. My fault, really. Lots of issues in my life away from horror. With football, so there's issues there, and I've been having my bathroom done for the last month, so I've been having to shower at the gym for about 3 weeks now, I think 4 weeks, which is a bit mad, but it's nearly done. So all the time that I could have been doing this, I'm doing other stuff. So my apologies, but sometimes it's good to have a bit of a break, and come back refreshed with ginger snaps. So, you guys been up to anything, Larry?
Working, watching films. Same old.
It's what a great life, though, isn't it? Every night,
It is.
I stick a horror film on. I think pretty much.
Mm.
Pretty
Yeah, I
much
try and
most
watch as
nights.
much horror as possible. It's definitely the best. I think my favorite genre.
I really am looking forward to speaking to about. There was a couple of trips I had to the cinema. We can talk about that a bit later. I expect Ewan's been to the cinema loads.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
It's constant. I mean, I talk about. I mean, it's sort of this week has been a bit of a nightmare for me because next week, as most people know, Barbie and Oppenheimer are coming out on the same day, Friday the 21st of July.
wow.
And even though it'll be an exciting day for people like me, sort of critics, especially low-level critics, low-priority critics, it's been a fucking nightmare trying to get screenings for these two films because everyone is just flooding into them. And I couldn't get a screening for Barbie, so I have to see that with the general public. But I did manage to get managed to bag a screening for Oppenheimer, which I'm very excited about, which I'm going to see on Tuesday. So
Nice.
so that was good. I nearly didn't get it, but I did it. It'll be at the Science Museum, which I think is
Oh,
very,
is it in
very
the
good.
IMAX?
On
Is
the
it in
IMAX, yeah.
I like that screening.
I think the last time I went to the Science Museum IMAX was to see Prisoner of Azkaban, which I think was in like 2004. So...
The last one I went to was Avatar 2, and that wasn't too.
Okay.
That was like last Christmas.
Yeah.
That was alright in there. That was really good.
I don't even know they did that. Wow.
Ironically, they showed an Oppenheimer special look with Avatar 2, but that was like
cool.
the first trailer before it was like, I think got released the next day. I
Right.
think.
Nice.
Jess,
Just working pretty much. Yeah.
we're looking. Your house looks really.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's
Tidy.
amazing.
Oh, yeah, it's my new house.
Mm.
New webcam. So
It's beautiful.
new headset, mic.
Well, we haven't been on for 2 months. There's bound to have been some changes. But... So, sorry, I've forgotten how to do all of this. Okay, Ginger Snaps. The story of two outcast sisters, Ginger and Bridget. Are they sisters? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
In the mindless suburban town of Bailey Downs. On the night of Ginger's first period, she is savagely attacked.
Yeah, sums it up.
So, Fitz,
Goodbye, Larry.
I think we should get together.
No. Out by 16 or dead in the scene, but together forever.
United against life as we know it.
I love old trailers.
Yeah, they're fun, aren't
Let's get out of here.
they?
One
They couldn't
boy.
get someone to do the voiceover, so they just
Yeah. In a world
What was
where
it?
two sisters
Dog,
get
baby.
bitter.
Whoa, that's it? Whoa.
She gets hairy.
Think you see werewolves a lot?
Did I change last night? Howl at the moon.
Oh. There's a little glimpse there of Ginger Flaps, which was a
Maps. Oh, well, yeah. Kev's been wrong. Oh no, did I get it right? Who got it wrong? In the
I have no clue.
someone said Ginger Flaps as opposed to Ginger Snaps.
Yeah, sorry.
Ginger-
Very different movie.
He watched
Yeah.
Ginger Clap as well.
Yeah, Ginger's
was-
clapped.
So it's directed by John Fawcett of The Dark, starred Emily Perkins as Bridget and Catherine Isabel as Ginger. I think she had been in 13 Eerie, which I've seen, and Freddy versus Jason. I think probably a small role. Can't remember. They don't look much like each other in this film. That was a complaint of mine for sisters. They're normally a little bit similar, aren't they? Or are they half sisters? Or
I think they are meant to be like
Real
sisters, there's
sisters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I will agree. Like, especially as well, I've seen this film quite a few times, but I showed it to Ria,
Yeah.
and she was adamant that the younger sister is wearing a wig.
It's
I
possible.
watched the second one, and she looked a lot different.
Oh, haven't seen the second one. I
She
got
reminded
told
me
it
a
was-
lot. She reminded me a lot of Zoe Kazan. I actually thought it was Zoe Kazan for like 5 minutes before I looked it up, but she resembles her quite a lot, I think. But you're right. Yeah, they don't look too much like each other.
So
Strange.
yeah, this was released in 2000 or 2001, 2000, I think. Had a budget of $4.5 million and a box office of $570,000. So it bombed.
Yeah,
But Rotten Tomatoes, what we thinking?
Well, it received a sort of cult following after a few years after it came out, didn't it? So I reckon probably in the 70s, maybe 73.
I was going to say the same, like 75.
I've already seen the score, so I can't say.
Oh
not
yeah,
that's surprising.
awesome.
So amazingly well.
Yeah.
Well reviewed. Well
Big
liked.
up Ginger Faps.
Ginger Fab,
Fat.
that's another
I
one.
like that.
That's another new one.
Ginger Faps. What did I think of this film? I should have watched this years ago. It's been one of them that I've kind of ignored. Just I don't know why. It just didn't. Nothing drew me to it. I'm not a massive werewolf film fan anyway, but like, obviously there's one I like, but most of them are not great. Howling, etc. So it never drew me to it. But I wish I had watched it earlier because it's a lot of fun, isn't it? It's. I think I treated it more like a comedy. Is that the way it was meant to come across? That's the way it certainly seemed, especially with the puppet or whatever it was. That was a puppet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the scene I'm talking about where it jumps about. And I thought the mum was fantastic. Unbelievably good, the mum in it. Yeah, and I don't know. It was just good. Can you carry on a sec? I've just got to shut my window because it's
Yeah.
you'll probably start hearing this in a minute.
Yeah,
So
well,
Ginger Faps.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it, Lawrence. So how many times have you seen this film, Lawrence?
I've seen this film quite a few times. I was shown it just at the beginning of uni because I hadn't seen it. I thought I really like it, but that's because I quite like the premise of it. I quite like the idea that it's linked to obviously Ginger going through like adulthood and all that. Linked then with the whole werewolf thing. I think as well, like it's obviously uses comedy in certain ways. I don't think it's meant to be like an outright comedy, but it definitely uses that in certain aspects, you know, with the whole with certain characters. And yeah, my only criticisms going forward with it, because I've seen it quite a few times. As I said, I watched it with Ria and she hated it. I sat down and I was really adamant, like, oh, I think you'll really like this. And about a couple of minutes in, it's just like, oh, it's fucking bullshit. Let me guess, this is going to be a metaphor for the whole like being on your period and turning into a werewolf and all that. And I was kind of sat there like, Jesus, yeah, no, well, looking at it,
Were they linked? Was the period linked to the werewolf?
Well,
Not
not
just coincidental.
Well, it's not so much as in to say, I think metaphorically it's linked,
Yeah.
like with adulthood, but like
I
her
know women
being
get angry on periods.
Yeah,
and
but I
they
think
actually appear like werewolves sometimes. For a few,
well, I think it's sort of almost like a metaphor for like adolescence in
Yeah.
general. I agree. There's sort of like because I read about it beforehand, and it's all about the sort of the female experience as they grow up, how how women are sort of subjected through pain that they didn't consent to, as well as being sexualized. So it's a kind of sort of the film sort of grapples with those concepts, and I think to a certain extent the comedy plays into sort of a more satirical look at it, I suppose. It was funny though, because when I saw the premise of this, not knowing anything about it, I was initially skeptical, because maybe in the same way that Ria might have been, where it's like it feels like sort of, I don't know, demonizing periods is kind of, I don't know, it feels a bit antiquated nowadays, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then I sort of saw that it was written by a woman, and so I was like, okay, this sort of it gives sort of credence, maybe, I think. And I watched it. I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a kind of a sort of mix between Heathers and American Werewolf in London. That kind of look at sort of high school life mixed in with a werewolf movie. I thought I love that kind of, and they played it very well, where they didn't take the sort of B movie stuff that seriously. They put a lot of effort into it, and they, special effects and everything. They're very sort of, low budget special effects, but that was what made them enjoyable. But it was like, it felt like they were having a lot of fun with it and enjoying it. And I think that's an essential thing. The worst thing, and we've had this before with various movies that should be much funnier than they are. I'm thinking of Winnie the Pooh specifically. And then they just suddenly take them way too seriously. With this, they played it very well. And I enjoyed the relationship that the sisters had. I liked that they were really sort of dark souls, and they were just sort of like hated everyone, and then the older sister gets into wanting to become more popular, wanting to like snog the most popular guy and stuff like that. I really enjoy it. And then their relationship is sort of breaks apart because of that. I quite enjoyed that, because I think that's true to life in many ways.
And to add to that as well, one thing I really liked, and I liked it when I first saw it, it's I know it's like a kind of a weird plot point, but I really like it how it opens as well, where it gives you the impression, if it's your first time, I mean, spoilers, I guess, but when it first opens, it gives you the idea of they're gonna basically commit suicide together, and they're so fascinated by death that they love recreating, like pretending as though they have,
that was very Harold and Maude, I thought.
Yes, which is why I really like. Again, it goes into their dynamic. But one thing I liked as well is that the again with the comedy linked with, I guess you could the whole metaphors, but like specific moments I really like. It's about obviously adulthood, and they do go into like safe sex and kind of typical like that sort of era in America, like high school or however. But I quite liked the idea of it linking with STDs as well. And how it's like unprotected sex, oh, you need to be safe, but then having that be the werewolf curse, I just thought was a very nice like kind of link to it, which I think again comedy but has fun with the premise but doesn't go over the top, which it could have done, and it could have just become a bit of a farce, because similar to how you said, you can have films like this where they treat the comedy very well and you can go, oh, okay, it still has that tone but it's funny. And it's similar to Winnie the Pooh, where it goes like too serious, but equally, I think that it has a right level of comedy where you don't sit there and just go, "Oh, this is a fucking piss take." This is just like all of it's a joke sort of thing.
I also really like the gender dynamics or the gender sort of subversions, I guess, or inversions, where it's like there's that scene, I think, where she's about to sleep with that guy after she'd sort of turned into a werewolf and be bit by the werewolf, and I think he initially on top, and then she swaps over and she's on top, and then he's like, "Oh, you know, I'm supposed to be the guy here," and it's just like I think that's really astute. I think that that's quite that's quite progressive. You know, for the year it came out, I think it was 2000. I think that's really good, and I enjoyed it for that reason. Saying that, I think the third act kind of dragged on a bit too long. I think this was a movie that could have been a very decent 90 minutes long, or very succinct 90 minutes long, but I think it kind of went too far with like trying to find the cure for like the werewolf stuff. It was kind of like become tangled in this, that, and the other, and it became sort of a maybe 10-20 minutes too long. I was sort of like watching the end where they were trying to escape from the werewolf. It's like, okay, this is fun, but I'm like, I'm ready now. I'm ready to just get with it.
And linking with that, I think one of my issues, but I don't rewatching it. Obviously, it wasn't as recent. It was now going back. I think obviously it said like 2 months ago, a month and a bit ago. Yeah. But when one of the issues I've had with it was that it treats the werewolf rules quite willy-nilly a little bit. Traditionally with werewolf films, you know, they have certain rules that they kind of uphold. But in the first instance where Ginger's attacked, the werewolf's just mowed down by a truck. And but then in the rewatch of it, I don't know if that's because he's got silver on the front of his van. I don't know if that's, but they never. That's the thing, they never bring it up. Like it's never a plot point. So in my head, I'm thinking like, is this kind of?
It did flatten him though.
Oh yeah, it absolutely destroys it to the point where that's what I mean by it's like it treats, because there's, you know, as you said, I think one of the plot points that I like, but then as you said, it goes on too long. I think is they're trying to devise a cure because the younger sister basically lies and says that she is the one that's been bitten. For this matey who's a drug dealer who's mowed down the werewolf, and they come up with a cure that it's from the mum's like plants that she has, and they obviously have a failed attempt. I say failed, but they use it on like not on Ginger, and as Ewan saying, I think that goes on a little bit too long, where it's like, okay, just get there now. You know, especially when they're in the house at the end and they're hiding and all that.
Yeah,
it's a bit like come on.
Cheers.
But
yeah. No, I agree. I did enjoy it. I found the two main characters kind of annoying, though. I'll be honest. Like
the two sisters.
Yeah, like some of the decisions they're making and stuff. It's just so irritating. And it did feel quite dragged out towards the end. Like there was no need for it to be quite that long. I did really enjoy the film. I can't remember his name, but the one who also turns into a werewolf. When he's attacking the little kid that's dressed as a dog. It's like the whole thing is that like they're going for
love dogs, don't they? They love dogs.
Well, yeah, because I want to know first of all more about the first werewolf who was killing all the dogs. Like, because there wasn't anything about people being killed or disappearing.
That's true.
Before that, so why was it just attacking dogs? And then
it's not a monster, Jess.
Well, but then I also think the dad should have had more screen time. I want to know more about him. He barely said a word. Like he had like one line.
Although I do like how they play upon that kind of like, not as I agree with you, he's not in it enough, but I do like how they play upon that with the mum at the end, where she just has a huge switch where she's like, "Fuck him."
Burn the house down.
It's like burn the house down.
She was going to like burn the house down with him in it.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I liked it. I just feel like someone saw this film and they thought, I want to make a version of this for kids, and then they made Disney's Turning Red.
I haven't seen Turning Red, but
it's just the same premise, pretty much, but no one dies. Yeah.
Imagine that just in the Disney.
Imagine that,
Plus,
just-
people
Oh, no,
dying left,
no,
right, center.
Yeah. I think you're limited to one death in a Disney
In
film.
a Disney film,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah, no, it
sucks.
was really good.
There was also
Yeah.
I also read that there's an article on the Guardian about that sort of interviewing the people who made it, like sort of 20 years later, and apparently they came into some controversy when when they were making it because Columbine had just happened, or at least a year or two before, and there was a massive conversation about how whether movies and video games make children kill people and stuff like that. And apparently the film was boycotted because of like the violence involving children and stuff like that. And apparently they wanted to cast as Ginger. I think they wanted to cast Scarlett Johansson, but then Scarlett Johansson's mum read the script and said, "No, we're boycotting this too. You're not allowed to go in this film." Just really weird. It's a really weird. I mean, I think we've just come out of that now. The whole discussion about video games makes children into killers is ridiculous anyway. And I think we're just sort of. I mean, I'm sure there are loads of conservative critics that have that same view, but it just feels feels like that's a very antiquated argument now, I think.
Yeah, well, I think Scarlett Johansson, as she's gone forward, has just gone like, "Fuck it, I'll do Under the Skin."
Yeah, that's another film I need to see. Actually,
If you haven't, you should
like
see it. It's very, very good.
Well, it's Jonathan Glazer, isn't it? He's got a new film coming out, I think, this year. So I need to get updates with Under the Skin, I think.
But,
So should we just touch upon the special effects or the what are they? It's not special effects. It's a puppet, isn't it? I don't know.
It's a what do you mean the main werewolf at the end? Because I think the first one is just like the head, and then they threw like whatever into a van and it just exploded. Whereas the end one obviously is, I think, animatronics and a puppet. Obviously, I think it's really good. I think I don't think it's an issue with the film, obviously, because I think it does look good. But I think obviously when you go from the likes of American Werewolf in London, which I think that film is unparalleled with its practical special effects, with a werewolf film. I think, I mean, I do this as well. I found myself when I was rewatching it again, going, "It's not as good as American Werewolf," but it doesn't mean it's not good. Like it's very good.
But I think there's like, I don't know, especially with films made in that era, there's a kind of I think there should be a deal between like the audience and the film, where it's like the audience must know that this is a low budget movie, and so they've made that they've made that agreement where they can watch it and they could adjust to the lesser special effects, and I think that's part of the fun with it. Problem is nowadays, compared to back then, which I think is a sort of superior era in many ways, is that people resort to CGI. And the problem with that is that it always looks shit. I mean, a lot of CGI in big budget Hollywood blockbusters look shit. So the idea that you can make a low budget film, unless it's limited CGI, which can work, if you just, I mean, this is me just going on a rant now, but CGing like any sort of like monsters, kind of, it just doesn't have the same effect. Whereas with something that's more practical, it makes it just so much more effective. Even though you have to suspend your disbelief to a certain extent. That's kind of what the fun of it is. Whereas when it's computer generated, it's just like.
Well, to add on to that though, like this is going to be, I guess, my mini little rant for it. But my favorite film of all time, Jurassic Park, it has so many amazing practical effects, yet it still utilizes CGI, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. And even in if you watch any of the making of it, they specifically talk about how there are some shots that practical effects we just aren't going to do. Like, we cannot show you a fully walking T-Rex bursting through the wires and stepping out. It's like, but with those intimate close shots or having it where the actors can really feels real. It's practical, and an example is the new Jurassic World franchise. Looked at that and went, "Fuck it! It's way easier just to CGI everything. We'll put one shot of practical, and we'll CGI over that." And it's like, and I think a lot of people say, like, I agree with this. I say you can have a great story and have not really great effects, and the story you can forgive it for not having great effects. But I equally think that you have to know what kind of story you're telling, and similarly, like, know your budget. And I think, and I agree with you with these films, especially in that era. What I love about them is that, like, one of my favorites, which I think we've talked about on this podcast before. If not, it's one that we definitely should, but I believe we have, is The Blob, but not the original like Steve McQueen, The Blob. The one that was directed by Frank Darabont.
Right.
It is fantastic, and the effects in it just are perfect, because they understood, like, well, this has to be a B movie horror, but the effects are so good that it elevates the story. It's definitely one to watch. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think the effects in this, I don't think they're bad. If someone was to say this is bad special effects, I'd be like, is it?
Yeah.
Watch Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And that came out bloody recently.
Also reminded me, you just reminded me of the I was just thinking of that Peter Jackson film. Is it Dead Alive or Brain Dead?
One of my favorite films.
The rat. Is it the rat
Yeah.
that's like the puppet or something? And it's
Yeah. And she squishes it with her. I love that film. That's such a good film.
I need to watch it again. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah. My copy's at Ria's at the moment. Fuck, it's so good. It's so good. They don't sell it here anymore, though. No, you have to get the German version, because it's not for distribution anymore.
Weird.
Shall we rate this?
Sure.
I want to go 7. It was okay. Probably should have watched it earlier. The second one, nowhere near as good as the first one. Something happens at the end of the first one, and that person's still in the second one.
I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing you mean the guy.
No.
Oh.
Ginger.
No, fuck off.
Just say, I thought that would piss you off. But,
isn't that similar to what's it?
Is it Dream Sequences
or whatever, where it turns out?
Wait, what's it similar to?
The Descent. The.
Oh no, we don't talk about Descent 2. Descent 2 didn't happen.
No,
that was a fever dream.
But that's my point. Is that there might be a similar thing where because didn't Ginger die at the end? Spoiler.
Yes.
Yeah. So
that was the whole point, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
she is
similar with Descent, isn't it? I don't know. I haven't seen the Descent 2, so I don't know.
Well, no, the Descent had a perfect roundup ending of, like, you could view it in so many different ways of, was it all in her head? Was it real? And then the sequel came out and went, but fuck it. Let's get everyone back. Yeah, let's get the Americans in. Big guns. Fuck it up.
I didn't bother.
Should get a third one hopefully soon. That'd be good. Right.
No!
All right, so I'm going to give it a 7. Jess?
Give it a 6.
Okay. Okay, Larry?
It's a tricky one.
This is one of your favourite films. Obviously, you recommending it.
One of my favorite. No, I would give Ginger's Capped a solid 8 out of 10. I think it's really good. I think it's really, really good, and I do think it's a decent watch. I don't think it's like the best film ever made, but I think it's one of those films that I can keep coming back to and go, yeah, no, I think it's well made, decent. Yeah.
You in?
Yeah, I'll probably give it a 7 as well. I really enjoyed a lot of it. There were just a lot of not plot holes, but just sort of holes where like there'll be moments where I'm just like, oh, I'm really invested in this, and then another scene happens and he's like, oh, I'm not really, I don't really care about this. So it kind of has that waveform. But it's interesting with this film as well that it's like recently there have been sort of feminist re-examinings of certain films, and even though I do think this film is sort of was intentionally feministic, it's kind of that thing where it's similar with Jennifer's Body, with the sort of Megan Fox and Amanda Seyfried.
Good film.
That's being re-examined recently because it wasn't sort of, at the time, it wasn't examined for various feminist themes, but nowadays it is. I think it's a similar case with Ginger Snaps. In fact, I think the director is developing a Ginger Snaps TV series. I think he said that back in 2020, so I don't know what the update is on that, but it's sort of interesting how these films are quite ahead of their time sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see how the series goes. But yeah, I give it 7.
Really quickly, you mentioned I'm just trying to find it. You mentioned something about, here we go, I know where it is, hold on, sorry, technical issues. Fuck is it? Here we go. Yeah, you mentioned something about, like, you know, when people revisit. Oh, is it gone? Oh, piss take. Oh, basically, I remember it. It's just not going to be word for word. Oh, nice, thanks. Yeah, you put my elevator music on. Yeah, you mentioned about people like revisiting like certain things and kind of having a different take on it. And there was an article that said about how people got really angry that Frankenstein was misunderstood and that he was the victim in Frankenstein's monster was misinterpreted and was the victim in the original novel and the subsequent films, and someone just put a perfect comment. It was like, that's the fucking point, isn't it? It's like it just makes me laugh.
I love someone re-examining what, a 17th century novel or 18th century novel. But
it just made me laugh reading the article, because they were like, oh, it's actually harrowing to, like, because he is a victim of the maker's design. And it's like, yeah, that's the fucking point.
That's the fucking point.
It's like, that's the whole point. It's like, what are you complaining about?
I like the idea of someone thinking that Dr. Frankenstein, the guy who created him, was like the hero, or like you know, the ultimate good in that. Yeah. So, he's not. He's really much anyone who's seen it. But yeah, we'll read it.
It's just dumb.
Okay, so we don't have. I haven't seen Dan online for a couple of months, really. Not that I've been paying attention, but so we still ain't got a hot pick for him, and I do want to go over the film we last recommended at some point, but probably not this week. So should we do a trailer pick instead that I found? Is that
Sure.
all right? Yeah.
God, here we go.
Oh, you bastards! Why are you torturing me like this? Why?
So here we go. So
just Lawrence leaving off going, oh god.
So exorcism in utero. Is that how you say it? Exorcism in utero.
Yeah, that's totally. I just stopped.
So here we go. Enjoy.
Oh god.
We're just so excited to have a God-loving woman watch our house while we're on vacation.
I will do my best.
Ah, Peter, we've just been introduced to Irma.
Ah,
going to be
Peter.
staying at the Johnsons while they're away in the Bahamas.
We have a cellar door
What am
here.
I watching?
Do me a favor, don't go down there.
The Johnsons are freaks. Have you been in the basement?
Is this a student film?
Well, I can see why they didn't want me down here.
A bit like a porn film, I'll be honest.
Yeah. That's a cock ring. Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh my god.
I'm pregnant.
Irma's pregnant.
With a baby?
Yes, with a baby.
What a horse.
This
I
script.
don't know how else to explain it. The ring is making me sick.
Why don't you come in? We're having bacon. She needs a priest.
The doctor said it was only 8 weeks. I feel like
Fucking
I'm dying.
amazing.
The Johnsons did something to her. She's possessed by a demon.
The church rarely grants exorcism.
It's the only way.
Am
I
I
thought
high?
it was just some sort of weird, kinky sex dungeon.
Where is the sex dungeon?
Another sex dungeon.
Hey, how's everything at the house?
It's great.
See, I reckon it could be good.
That is amazing.
If it plays for the comedy value alone, it might be good, but I'm very skeptical anyway.
So Helen Frigg, a pregnant woman running from a bad relationship, becomes possessed when she puts on a magical ring she discovers in the basement.
What sort of name is Herma Frigg? What is that shit? Oh, yeah.
Now, Steve Larkin, who sent me lots of nice messages in the past on Twitter, he was the guy that you took the piss out of with the English accent. He is English, by the way. So,
what do you mean in that trailer?
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell! I'm sorry. Just
so
what's
he was
going
in
on?
The, what was the vampires monster from Venus? I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, but there's some great. I would say they're like B movies, and I love them. Like every single one, they're funny. They're not to be taken too seriously, and I think that's a good thing. We've had that many times over the years in films, and I like the look of that, and I will be getting it.
Great.
And I think maybe we do it as a main feature, but I think it looks great. Jess, did it look all right to you?
Oh, great! Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Mhm.
So, I
keep on thinking, Lawrence.
Larry, you look stunned. You look stunned.
Am I?
I bought this the other day as well.
Have I had an aneurysm?
Look at that.
What the fuck's going on?
Wings of Disaster. That's the
just
Birdemic
Birdemic?
trilogy.
Oh, it is, but
Birdemic. Yeah,
I've never seen the third one. Actually.
Yeah.
oh, don't! He'll make us watch it.
It's amazing.
Don't say that.
If I had a
That's Larry
choice, I'm
Pick, I
going.
think.
If I had a choice, I'm going with Birdemic 3.
Oh.
We talked
okay.
about this with Winnie the Pooh. I'm sorry. We talked about this with Winnie the Pooh. We don't need to regurgitate it, but fuck me. Fuck me.
So let's move on to what we
Yes.
watched in the last 2 months.
What have you been watching?
No, seriously, what have you been watching?
Okay, I've watched a lot of stuff. I'm not going to play the trailer to this film, but I watched a film called We Are All Going to the World's Fair.
I've heard of that. Apparently, that's all right.
Yeah, but I don't know what is going on in it. I absolutely do not. There's some girl playing some game online, and another bloke's talking to her, and he's a lot older, and it's all filmed on like webcams and things, and it's. I don't know. I was hoping you'd watched it, Larry, to explain what it all meant.
But I would have
seen it. That's not going to help me at all.
No,
you'd probably quite like it. It's probably
I'll
the kind
give
of thing
it.
You'd like.
I'll give it a watch. I'm trying to think if I've maybe seen something for it because the name you've said sounds familiar, but nothing's come into my brain. Like no, like kind of.
It's an odd one. I really do need it explaining to me. So.
Yeah, I think I was playing at a few festivals last year, and I think it got a good deal of attention. But
yeah, I can't put anything to it at the moment. I'd have to search it up.
Well, when you've watched it, you can explain what's going on because I ain't got a fucking clue. So, okay, the other thing I watched, I'll just stick it on.
If you had a car, you could pick me up in Colorado.
So this film's called Joyride from about 2001 with Paul Walker.
How far would you go?
Ah, boy, Paul.
You've always
we love Paul.
Sexy choice. Vintage 1971.
How much would you do for a brother?
This is pretty Fast and Furious.
Oh God, yeah, I remember this film. This is great. I watched this with my sister.
Oh, Rusty Nail.
Breaker one, man.
This is like a prehistoric internet or something.
When
Can you
two
do a
friends
woman's
fuck
voice?
off
How
over
much
the radio.
fun could you have?
Hey there, this is Candy Cane. Who's this?
Candy Cane.
If I were there, Rusty Nail, I'd make you feel good.
This is turning me on.
When the joke
I'll be at the
Why
Lone
can't
Star
Paul say that
Motel.
to me?
Oh, it's always a
17.
motel.
I can't wait. This is awesome.
is now on you.
Who the hell is it? So that, dude. So I bought all 3 of these. They were in the sale on iTunes. So it stars Paul Walker and Steve Zahn as 2 brothers embarking on a cross-country road trip. They play a cruel prank on a mysterious trucker who turns out to be a psychotic murderer. So they're on the old CB radios, and he starts winding up the trucker that he's a woman called, what name was now, and he's called Rusty now. Anyway, he just hassles them, kind of in the way of not many other films out there. Just trying to think of what it reminded me of. I can't remember, but. Yeah, so I bought all 3 of them. So I've done the first one.
There are 3
It's
of
a
them.
lot. Yeah, they were literally quite cheap. So I thought I've seen it out there. I've never seen the movie. Yeah, it's decent. It's good. Paul Walker's excellent. Yeah, there's not a lot of actors in it. It's probably about 4 or 5 in the whole film, but it's good. Well worth a watch. You seen it, Larry?
Yeah. I watched it ages ago with my sisters. But I've only seen the first one. I didn't think there were 3.
Yeah, it's free to my knowledge. I've got 3 of them anyway. Not seen it, Jess?
No.
You ain't lived. So
No.
yeah, it's.
Oh no.
Stop what you're
I
doing.
watched that one.
Watch the film.
I'll talk about one more. I don't know if I should play the trailer though. So I went to the cinema and I watched Evil Dead Rise. Is it? The newest Evil Dead.
Didn't
is
you
it
talk about
Rise?
this on the last one?
Oh, I don't know. I might have done. Anyway,
We had a
I
full
can't remember. It's 2
conversation
months
about it
ago.
on the last one.
Okay, so I'll ignore that then. So I've forgotten about it. The other one I went to see, Insidious, the new Insidious film.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
took
the
a
5th one.
14-year-old with me.
Bullshit.
They wouldn't let us in.
They wouldn't let you in. Why?
No, because Nip was 14 and he didn't have any idea on him.
Right.
It was a 15, and I've never ever.
That's a bit
announced
odd.
ID.
If he's 14 and
He's nearly 15. Yeah,
you know, it's legally correct, but that's a weird. That's a bit weird.
They probably
So-
saw the film and just thought, "Run!" Like we won't let you in.
Have you seen it, Larry?
Have you seen it?
No, I don't want to. I've got better things to do.
Can we all meet up?
Isn't it
and
called
none
like
two?
Insidious, like
Can we
the
all-
red door?
The red
or something?
door.
Yeah, the
And
red
to
door.
be
Shut
honest,
it.
the posters
Burn
look
it.
a lot like, you know, the lot of posters of like the Haunting of Hill, the TV series, The Haunting of Hill
Yeah.
House, and it's the red door leading to that specific room. It looks at the posters for the red door Insidious film pretty much copy that image of the red door. I'm
When
not
I
sure
saw
what.
when I saw when the trailer came out for it and it started, admittedly, I thought, oh, the premise for this one could be decent because it was like, oh, Dalton's grown up or something, and he's now painting some weird shit, and then it just basically is like, oh, have you seen Insidious 1? Oh, we're just gonna do the dad story, but with Dalton now, and I was like, oh,
Have
they're
you
gonna
seen the
end
fourth
up.
one? Have you seen the fourth one? Because
what's
the
that
red
one
doors in that a
called?
lot.
Isn't it in all of them?
Insidious 4.
I've only seen the first one, and that was enough for me.
Yeah, I like the fourth one because it turns out that what's her name, the clairvoyant or whatever her name is, it's her dad was the kind of murderer. Spoilers. And there's a red door in her house, and it's really, really interesting.
What if they painted it blue?
I also like the fact
I don't know if it works as
I like the fact that, you know, in the Conjuring universe, you have the nun, you have the crooked man, and all this, that, and the other. Insidious, a red door. That's what.
Yeah.
That's what we have to continue
You know,
the universe.
I wouldn't be surprised if, under some bewilderment, they interlink Insidious with the Conjuring in this film, where they go through the red door and we'll see some fucking bullshit of a picture of the nun.
I mean,
I know,
Patrick
and it needs to
Wilson,
stop.
Patrick Wilson is in both franchises, so I wonder how they're gonna marry them too.
I love Insidious 3. Do you not like that?
No.
You're a weird.
I watched the first one. I watched the first one, honestly. I watched the first Insidious, and I remember thinking at the end of it, like, oh, it's all right. The thing that I remember the most is the twist at the end, which was like, I think everyone goes, oh, cool, that was the cool bit of it. And you're like,
no,
is it? It's like, you're like, all right. And then they were like Insidious Part 2 or Chapter 2, and you're like,
Which is
okay.
shit.
And then they did chapter 3, then they did chapter
Which is-
4, then they did chapter fuck off, and then it's just like now I'll end chapter, and it's like it's the same as The Conjuring, just like I don't need a connected universe.
We got Nun 2 to watch as a team, and that'd be
The
great.
trailer came out recently, didn't it?
Yeah, it looks great. I'll play it next time we.
Lawrence, for the audio listeners, Lawrence has sort of buried himself in his microphone.
looks great.
What's the point? We know how it ends.
Frenchie's
It's
in
a
it.
prequel.
I think Frenchie
It's a
gets
sequel to the
possessed.
prequel.
A sequel to the prequel that no one asked for.
So that was all I've watched. Well, no, I've watched a lot. So there's loads more. So Larry, what have you been watching?
Okay, I'll go through mine quite quick.
Okay.
Because I have watched quite a few. I'm going to probably forget some. I watched in order. I watched that new Transformers film that was a while ago. That was all right.
Oh, is that good?
Well, I wouldn't say it's like amazing. I just would go on a whim to say it's one of the better films that we've had. But
Bonus. How many?
5 or 6.
That's
But
not bad,
that's
is it?
no, but that's for me personally because I do like the old cartoons and I was a big fan of the first Transformers film. But yeah, that wasn't anything. I watched Indiana Fuck Off.
Oh,
that really left a sour taste in my mouth.
Destiny of dullness, I call it.
Well, the opening with the whole train thing, I thought
No, I hated it.
No, so that's. I thought I didn't like the CGI crap.
Yeah,
I was
that's what put me off it entirely.
yeah.
I'm just like, ugh.
But there was certain, like the feeling of it. I was like, all right, okay. And then as soon as we got out of that era, I was like, it's such a shame because is it weird that it made me look back at Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and kind of go?
A lot of people have been saying that. Actually,
It's like it's
been a
kind of
mixed
like,
reception, but yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like I don't want to spoil anything, but then I feel like it's not really a spoiler because it kind of says it in the fucking title. But I didn't think they'd go that way with it. I thought it was going to be a more classical Indiana Jones story. And instead they were like, how do we top aliens? And I was like, don't do it. And they did it. And I was like, great, fantastic, Indiana Jones. What else did I watch? I didn't really watch. Oh, well, I've seen it fucking loads of times, but I was very lucky enough to pick up the 30th anniversary edition of Jurassic Park.
Nice.
There were only like, I think 400 or 500 sold, I think.
Wow.
So very happy. I've got it here actually. That's my copy.
Nice.
Oh,
Very happy.
4K, is it?
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah. You can actually see the cum stains on it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Whole room.
Yeah,
whole
I don't
room's
wipe
covered in
it. I don't wipe it. I let it fully sink in.
Wipe it.
I let it fully sink in. If I'm lucky enough, if depending on how much energy I've got, hopefully there's
Dripping from the
not...
ceiling.
Yeah, I was going to say. My monitor's still covered. I mean, geez.
Oh,
this is going to come back to bite me in the ass, isn't it? It's going to be something that
I'm
someone's
putting
gonna
that as
bring
like
up.
a clip and just posting that every day to Instagram. TikTok, yep.
And let's post it at the end. Subscribe. Watch our channel. Watch our podcast.
So we started with cum. Oh no,
Ginger
that was before. Yeah.
But no, yeah. There's what else have I fucking watched? Trying to think really quick because there have been a few. I mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy 3 last time. That was good again. Watched Rhea introduced me to a show that I had actually watched the first couple of episodes ages ago, but watched it like going in new on Netflix, which was called Sense8.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that's isn't that Wachowski?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it. I had criticisms, and it'd be too long to go into, but I think it's a decent series. And then just literally recently, because I haven't finished I've finished the first season of Sense8, but there's like a special, and then there's season 2 and a film. Yeah. So I'm at the end of season 1, but then at the same time, both of us were talking about it, going, this reminds. I was saying it reminds a lot about Heroes. So I've just restarted watching Heroes, and I forget how.
Yeah,
with
because
those.
wasn't Heroes, wasn't that the first season was amazing, and then it.
Oh yeah, no,
second
I
season was
only
okay, and then it gradually went
yeah,
down.
I only
I think
consider the
season 4
first
is supposed to be the
season.
worst. Yeah.
Yeah, I was literally said this to me and Rio were talking about this weekend. Actually, it's like we were watching a couple of episodes of season 1, and both of us were just like, yeah, at the end of season 1, that's where it ends for us.
Yeah.
Season 2, as you said, was like really odd. Season 3 was just boring, and then season 4, it's like they I think they got cancelled, so they were like, shit, we have to wrap it up. We have to wrap it up. So,
I think they brought it back briefly. I think they called it like Heroes Reunited or something.
yeah,
like
the
that, like
Heroes
10 years ago.
Reborn. Heroes Reborn.
Yeah, that was it.
And then
yeah.
that got cancelled.
Yeah. So the thing is, the concept is great, but it's sort of I don't know. They just don't know how to handle it. I guess
They did that in my eyes. They did that typical thing where the first season's so good. There's a lot of characters, but the first season's so good because it has an end game. Similar to like what's happened with Marvel now. Like they had an end game, and we've reached that, and it was like amazing. And now it's like Disney Plus, shove it here. There's 5 different stories. So shame. But yeah, that's everything. There are other films that I've watched and stuff, but I just can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah,
2 months worth. But if they pop back, they pop back.
Cool. You in?
Yeah. So I guess the biggest thing, Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning Part 1. So Part 1, and then there's Part 2 coming, I think, June next year. Pretty decent. I quite enjoy the Mission Impossible movies. I do think that they're the only action franchise going on at the moment that's worth paying attention to. I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say, but in terms of what they aim for is so great and so practical. And because Tom Cruise is a maniac, he just does all his own stunts, and it just looks great. And the action scenes look amazing. And it's not quite as good as Fallout, which was the one before. I think Fallout was just a cut above the rest, but it's still very entertaining. It's I think 2 3/4 hour long, which is quite excessive, but it's really engaging. It's really engaging for what
I've only seen the first one.
You've only seen the first one?
Yeah.
You've got a lot great. I mean, the first one's great.
Yeah.
Second one is ridiculous, but quite fun. Third one is when they try and transform it into a franchise, and it's sort of J.J. Abrams who takes over. Then the fourth one has maybe the most sort of white knuckle stunt, which is Tom Cruise on the edge of the Burj Khalifa, and it really makes you sweat. Then I think 5 was Rogue Nation, that was quite good, and then 6 was Fallout, which is probably the best one in my view. And then 7 was
start
pretty
there,
good.
man.
Yeah, it's a good series to get into. What else? I saw Elemental, which is the new Pixar movie. Pretty fun. I've seen a lot of criticisms of Elemental. I'm not sure why people were so sort of against it, but I quite enjoyed it. So the story of a sort of a humanoid flame and a humanoid water driblet thing existing in this city of elements, basically. So you've got tree people, you've got cloud people, you've got various people sort of wandering around, and then it's about this romance between the water and the flame, basically. And it's a really nice film. I think maybe some of the criticism comes from the fact that it's not like an adventure, like a lot of Pixar movies. But the same criticisms were leveled at Luca, which came out, I think, last year. But I thought Luca was very serviceable and a very nice film, even though it's not an adventure. It's set in one place and it's about a very sort of domestic issue. But I thought it was very nice. And Elemental looks really, really nice. I mean, as always, the animation is just so unparalleled with Pixar. But also the story and the characters, I was really engaged. Annoyingly, because it's a kids' film, I went to see it at the cinema, and there were just kids around. The majority of them were all right. They were sitting quietly, they were enjoying the film and whatever.
That's how I feel when I go anywhere.
and then you get like an asshole 5-year-old at the front who's just screaming and crying, and you just want to it's really annoying as well, because you can't really complain because it's a kids film, and you can't just say, I really want to get into this story. I can't be bothered with all the kids. I just want to listen to the story, for Christ's sake. Shut the fuck up. Sorry.
Oh, please next time do that.
I can't just shout at another person's kid.
No, don't just go. Just like get up, go straight to their seat, and just be like, "Listen here, you little shit. Shut the fuck up."
What else? Great series on BBC called World on Fire. I'm really getting into sort of World War II and sort of Holocaust stuff at the moment, mainly because I'm sort of getting more and more fascinated as I get older. I think World on Fire is a Second World War drama series. It's basically sort of, and it's set across Europe. So you've got characters in England, you've got characters in Poland, you've got characters in Nazi Germany, you've got characters in France, and it's basically sort of like dotted around and looking at all their lives, and it's sort of looking at the war from a more expansive viewpoint. I think second season. BBC iPlayer or one or whatever. The second season starts tonight, but it's all on iPlayer. Both series are on iPlayer. Really, really good series. I've also watched The Bear season 2, but I'm not allowed to talk about it because it's embargoed. But I'll just say if you, so season 2, the Bear season 2 came out in the US about a month ago, but it's coming out in the UK next Wednesday.
Oh, so I'm guessing
on a different platform.
I'm guessing the US
What is
reviewers
The Bear?
can review it because I've seen so many reviews for it.
And this is exactly the problem, Lawrence. Now, this doesn't happen often, actually. But for some reason, Disney Plus have really sort of got a real stranglehold on the series. It's on FX in the US and on Disney Plus in the UK. They don't want any spoilers or any reviews at all until Wednesday the 19th, which is when it comes out, which is ridiculous because all the reviews in the US have come out, as well as fucking clips, memes, and whatever have already like spread across social media. So it makes no sense, Disney. Anyway, I can't say anything more about it, but I will say if you like season 1, you probably definitely will like season 2. That's what I'll say. Okay, that's what I'll watch.
Get your shit together, Disney.
Yeah, get your shit together.
Jess.
So I rewatched the first Fantastic Beasts, and then I watched the second one because Shane hadn't seen the first one. I really wanted to watch the second one. Okay, I don't like J.K. Rowling. Don't like Ezra Miller. Forget about them for a second. I love the comedy.
You don't like J.K.
films.
Rowling?
Yeah.
No one does.
No.
No one likes J.K. Rowling.
At least those, yeah.
Anyway,
it's a bit too big to get into.
Yeah.
She seems quite a nice lady, I thought.
No.
No. Okay.
No. So I really enjoy it just for the beasts themselves. I think they're great and the comedy is great. It's just funny to watch. But the third one isn't available anywhere yet.
Is it not?
No. It's not. Yeah, they haven't uploaded it anywhere. So, and then I watched Killing Eve. I actually started since our last podcast, I think, and I've only got like 3 episodes left.
Oh, nice.
4 seasons. So, but I'm kind of annoyed because I didn't realize when I started it that it's actually been cancelled.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's a weird one because I really like season 1. I actually really like season 2 as well, even though lots of people say that's when it dropped off. I really like season 2. Season 3 has decent moments.
That's where I stopped. That's where I stopped season 3.
Yeah, season 4 there were decent moments there, but there were some dog shit episodes in season 3. But season 4, again, I think there may be 1 or 2 episodes which I really like, and then it falls apart completely. And I think the ending, I know you haven't got to it yet, Jess, but it's probably one of the worst endings I've ever seen. So
maybe I just won't. Maybe I'll just leave it at like the episode before the last, and then I'll just make up my own ending.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed that mostly so far. And then I watched Ant-Man Quantumania.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I didn't even bother with that.
Yeah. I think some of the acting wasn't great, and so just wasn't great.
Yeah, I was so let down by that film.
Yeah.
Rhea literally said to me, I said to her, "Can we watch it?" She was like, "I really don't want to." and weird because we had read some of the reviews of it, and it was like, surely not. Maybe people are just a bit sick and tired of the whole Marvel thing. and
Yeah.
we were crying with laughter of how shit it was. Like at one point, we were
Oh
like,
yeah,
we
there
were
was
like,
like
what's
a lot
going
of
on?
comedic value to how bad some of it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I did find it hilarious because I didn't realize I've seen pictures of him
Mm.
from like the like mobile games and stuff, but the dude with the big head, what's his name?
Oh, MODOK.
MODOK. Yeah,
They did my boy
That-
dirty there.
yeah, that was amusing, but like in a bad way.
Yeah, no, there's loads of bits in that. Like, there's a whole segment around
Mm.
eat my juices so that you
Oh
can,
God.
so that they
Yeah,
can
that was-
understand. And I was just like, why am I dedicating
the
5
juice.
minutes? Yeah, drink my juice. It's like, no, don't make me drink your juice. It's like,
Yeah.
what am I watching?
And the fact that they like recast his daughter.
Yeah, no,
Well, was
I
pretty
like the
annoying.
daughter in Endgame. I thought she was an
Yeah.
alright actress, but
Yeah, I thought that her acting wasn't.
yeah, she's so annoying as well.
Yeah,
That sounds probably mean because she's probably like a nice person, but the
she's gonna listen to this and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they said that about me."
Oh, she's gonna listen.
Fan
Fuck
too.
you! You ruined it. You ruined it for me. I was so excited.
I think wasn't she in Big Little Lies? That girl, who played Reese Witherspoon's daughter.
She must have been better than that girl in Last of Us.
Oh,
sake.
don't.
She must have
What?
been.
Well, there was no need for that.
Sorry.
Fucking shit, mate.
Bella Ramsey, we love you.
I don't.
Yes.
She can fuck off. She can fuck off. Wow. She's as bad as that pop singer. What was his fucking name? The one who put a complaint in about us. What was his name?
What? Nick
Someone
Cave?
put in a complaint
Nick
about us.
Cave. Yeah, he's fucking.
Nick Cave's not a pop singer or whatever. You know?
Wait, what?
Pop singer.
I
I
don't
was
think
literally like,
he's
yes, what did I
either.
miss? I was like, what
I'm
did
not.
I
I'm,
miss?
I'm not convinced Nick Cave can play. I reckon it was
It
his
was
agent
him.
or something.
It was his
wasn't
agent.
him.
Bastard.
I feel like I've definitely missed something there.
It was quite. It was a while ago.
Yeah, it's when we
Comment,
put his
didn't we?
trailer up on the thing and
Yeah.
told us to put it down.
I got upset, Jess. To be honest.
Oh.
It caused me a load of aggro.
Oh.
So, and all I was trying to do was help the prick. Do you know what I mean? So, but there you go. So next week,
Kickstarting the beef again to start the
It's
end.
part of the Bones horror lore. This sort of vendetta we have against Nick Cave.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, he
Get him on the
started it.
podcast.
I will finish it. So, like,
We're just outly going to war with Nick Cave.
dear.
Your move, Nick Cave.
is it
Your
the
move.
bad seeds or something? Is that
Yeah,
his
Nick
lot?
Cave and the Bad Seed. Yeah, that's
That's
the band.
it,
Yeah.
right. Prick.
Oh.
So what are we looking at for next episode? I think Larry's come up with Speak No Evil.
I said this last podcast.
Yeah.
Speak
fine.
No Evil, the foreign
Is that on
language
Shudder?
one.
Is that on Shudder?
Oh no.
Sorry,
Right, okay.
My laugh's getting really squeaky.
So we're doing Speak No Evil, which is foreign, which is normally a Dan's hot pick, but like
It's good. I
We'll
think
do it.
that there's a lot to speak about, and like I said, they're remaking it. I think US is remaking it, and they've already
Oh,
cast
okay.
like James McAvoy and I can't remember her name, but a very famous actress who's been in.
Speak No Evil.
She was in something recently, but it got like a lot.
That was in something recently.
Yeah,
Her.
But no, like it got like a load of traction. I again,
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I believe it was a recent film, but it
Okay.
got loads of traction, and I had the same experience I had with Killing of a Sacred Deer with it, where I went in knowing nothing, and I was just I put it on, and then by the end of it, I was just like, "Fuck me."
I love the idea of watching Killer Sacred Deer without having any idea what.
Yeah, no, I literally had no clue. I just went straight into it and was like,
I watched
"The
it.
fuck?"
I watched it and had no clue at the end.
Yeah,
So-
well, it is one of those mindfuck films.
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
it?
I'll tell you, just touch upon this one. I watched a film called In the Earth.
Oh, that's the Ben Wheatley film, is it?
Yeah, it's the what other stuff's he in? There's another film I saw him in recently. Yesterday, I think he was in.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
I can't remember.
About the
I
guy
haven't
singing
seen the
Beatles
film.
songs.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
he was in that. So I didn't understand that at all. Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it, but it's a sort of
Okay.
folk horror movie, isn't it? Sort of set in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, in the woods, a virus, a scientist, a part scout, that kind of stuff. I was hoping you'd explain it to me, guys. Put it on your list, Larry. In the Earth. I think it's on Netflix or Prime, one of those. So anyway, we'll be back in a couple of weeks with episode 105, Speak No Evil, which is in foreign. And that, what kind of foreign is it in?
What kind of
Dutch is it Dutch?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, Danish, Dutch, English. So which is
Danish,
it?
Dutch. So it's a bit of everything.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no, because one, I don't want to give too much away, but one set of characters is like on a sort of resort / holiday. And
So
they
why
go
can't they all
over-
just speak English?
I
It's
don't
a
know.
bloody film.
We'll
Why
email
confused?
them. We'll email them. We'll ask.
Can you do that? Can you just send it, copy me in on it, and just
Nah, fuck
like,
it.
let us know
Nick
what-
Cave, you can do it.
I like to know what this complaint letter will be. Stop making me read subtitles.
They're already remaking it, so they'll probably listen.
Oh,
They probably had
I'm-
loads of emails about that. Like, why do I have to read? And they're like, sorry.
Fucking reading. Who the fuck reads?
Because aren't they
Right,
doing
yeah.
that with aren't they doing that with Train to Busan? But it's like Train
Yeah.
to and I haven't seen anything
Train
about
to
that.
New
I swear.
York or New Jersey or something.
It's
Yeah.
Train.
They also, there was Train to something. There was also, I think
Yeah.
they're trying to remake Parasite into like a 5-part series as well, which will be a bit.
I quite like Parasite.
Yeah, and that was in foreign, Kev.
Yeah, it was definitely in foreign because I had to do some reading. Or did I put? Or did I have the dub version? I might have done. So yeah, we'll be back next week. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's the Bones Horror Pod. Instagram's the same. You want to email us? No one ever does, but if you do, it's the boneshorrorpod@gmail.com and Facebook. You know what you can do. Yeah, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
Nick Cave.